Is 30 years old too old to get rich from crypto? This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil. Keeping technical analysis short and sweet and right away. No, it's not. So for those of you who are just here to hear the validation, start investing. But for those of you who actually want to learn and are here to see some technical analysis, I'm going to go through a little bit of a walkthrough for Bitcoin, XCN, for the people who are just here for XCN, and potentially XRP. So I'm going to show you back in 2015, I was first taught about Bitcoin. I brought this up in multiple videos. $250 is what we were looking at. I think I bought my first one maybe around $139. And so we see that that was in year 2015 at $250. By year 2017, so 2 years later, we were looking at nearly $20,000 for every 139 to around $200 you invested. Astronomically insane. Major pullback dip for the next couple years. So 17 to 19, then we started to bottom out here around 4,000. I remember begging my father to buy each one of his kids a Bitcoin as my funds were tied up at 3,500. He said it was a scam because the news told him it was a scam. Well, his son was correct, and we went from 3,500 up to around 13, 14,000 before a major retracement. Back around this time, we saw that it still had its pullback. So from, what was that, 2019 to 2020, a year later, we were bottoming back out around the $5,000 mark in immediate support, pulling it up. There was the 2017 all-time high, and we completely surpassed that and went to 64,000. So if you just held from 2015 and 6 years later, your $139 would be worth $60,000. I don't know any other industry that will give you that kind of profit. Maybe if you invested in NVIDIA back whenever it was really cheap. But this is just a basic opportunity within 6 years. $139 going to $60,000. Here we were back around 17,000. I remember my boss telling me to give up on my hopes and dreams. Bitcoin was going nowhere, and I continued to invest. And sure enough, we went from 16,000, and here we are all the way up at 124,000, peaking out. Currently at 87,000, so we had that pullback, but Bitcoin can potentially hit anywhere from 150 to 220,000 is a possibility for this last leg up. So those of you who are freaking out or think you have missed your opportunity to enter into the crypto market, Bitcoin, even though it's up at 87,000, which is a ridiculous price point for any cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin is king. Larry Fink wants to pretty much buy up all the Bitcoin after years of suppressing it and saying it's money laundering. Now he is one of the biggest money launderers out there. Go figure. They tell you to not buy it whenever it's $3,000, and then they tell you to buy it when it's 120 to 86,000, saying, "Oh yeah, no, this whole time we were buying it too." We were firing people for some of our investors. Same with JP Morgan. They said they would fire anybody investing into cryptocurrency back when it was 3,000 per Bitcoin. And here they are today investing ridiculous amounts of money at 88,000. So if you think Bitcoin is going to be crashing when these massive institutions are buying it up, you are more than likely wrong, because 87,000 is just the base. This is the internet before people knew what the internet was. Bitcoin, even though we're 10, 15, maybe 17 years into Bitcoin, yeah, you could have spent $1 and got a couple hundred Bitcoin, and you would be set within 10 so plus years. Which brings me over to XRP. So for those of you who want to make a lot of money with very little money, XRP would be your go-to. Why do I say that? Because XRP has been suppressed for the past 7+ years. For 7+ years, it's been suppressed down here around the 50 cent to 30 25 to 50 cent area, let's say. XRP has been suppressed. And then what happened once the lawsuit was dropped and the SEC, actually that was probably later in time, but the SEC was suing for like 1.25 billion. And after 7 years, they said, okay, we'll take 125 mil. And if you don't know what that means the SEC, the fucking was with a PH, YouTube, so don't ding me for that. The PH is silent. The ucking SEC government lost a lawsuit. They win like 99.99% of all lawsuits. They lost against XRP. If that's not saying something for this cryptocurrency, I don't know what is. If you can beat the SEC in a lawsuit for whatever they want to get money out of you from, props to you, because that is a major win. And we clearly see when this happened, I don't believe it was this exact time, it could have been later in the future, but they were suppressed for 7 years, and we went from 56 cents to, let's say we'll get a rough estimate on the days, 70 days, 56 cents to $3.36, which is about 480% increase in 70 days. If you stake your money or put it on an online bank, you get around 4.5%, maybe through Synchrony or something like that, in a year. This is in 70 days. This is like 2 months. 480% increase in price. Say you didn't sell. Say you held on to it. You are still at 223% profit from whatever money you put in at 50 cents. For those of you who have been following along for these past couple months, if not this entire past year, you probably are up quite a bit. I am willing to accept 10% of your profit. And any money that you guys give me, stickers, donations, subscriptions, memberships, whatever it may be, 50% is going to save animals' lives. Unfortunately, Taquito did not make it because we did not have the funds to pay for his surgery. The other dog that got thrown out a window, that's probably the first one I'd like to throw money at. So for those of you guys who are willing to donate, you guys are going to be able to see the progression of a dog that got thrown out of a 2-story window because her ex-boyfriend got angry and then she no longer wanted the support animal. That's all besides the point. I know you guys, if you want to donate, you'll do it, but we're here to talk about TA. XRP is working within this channel. We've seen it work within channels in the past. Market manipulation right here on October 10th. Same with the rest of the market. You can pull up HBAR, you can pull up XCN, almost everything that you pull up, you're going to see market manipulation on October 10th. That's the way the market works. There's nothing you can do about it. The people who are insider trading, Nancy Pelosi, those type of people already knew what the market was going to do, and I'm sure Nancy Pelosi is highly in profit with that pullback. However, we have came back down towards that area. This is on HBAR, and that is pretty much leaving this area. We have to, if you guys don't understand this, what it is it's got market manipulation, a bunch of people buying back up. The people who are selling, say they sold at this point, the market wants to give them the opportunity to switch their order from a sell to a buy, and it lets it bleed out to roughly the maximum of where it had that sell-off before ultimately getting bought right back up. All the